Doctor says that they are trying to get to the root cause of an issue. What does that mean? For us at Pinnacle Chiropractic, we are nervous system based chiropractors. So to us, that means that we are always looking at the nervous system. And what is the nervous system? It is basically the entire network of how your body functions. Every single other system is under the umbrella of the nervous system. So if your nervous system is really healthy, then things like your respiratory system, your immune system, your reproductive system, your digestive system can all work as they should. If that nervous system is out of balance or not working appropriately, then everything else in that cascade under that umbrella is going to have some bad effects to it, basically. So if our nervous system is healthy, then we thrive. And so when we see babies in our office, kids in our office, even adults in our office, we are always looking at that nervous system, and if the system is regulated by the parasympathetic nervous system, or if it is stuck in fight or flight, in overdrive, in that sympathetic dominant state where the body is not able to thrive as it should. And so when we see that, we know that there are going to be a lot of symptoms that occur because the body is trying to tell you. It's saying, hey, please pay attention, listen to me, something's not right. And oftentimes, doctors will kind of dismiss those symptoms. They'll say it's normal, kids will grow out of it, just kind of wait and see. But we know that when the body is stuck in that fight or flight system, those alarming, the signals going off, the bells telling you, hey, please fix this, something is not right, are only going to get worse. And they're going to change name, but they are going to cause issues for your child throughout their lifespan. So if we can address this nervous system and get the nervous system happy, then everyone under that umbrella of the nervous system is going to be happy as well. So when we see kids in our office that are dealing with colic or constipation or even some learning disabilities, social disabilities, anything that kids can deal with, we know that there is a root cause and there is something that is causing that. So we need to start there. We need to look back at that nervous system and look back at how it was formed, what was going on in your child's life, but even as early as preconception and during pregnancy. So it's really not talked about often, but your preconception period, the time before you get pregnant, is very, very important to baby's health, to baby's nervous system, to their stress response. There's so many studies that show that generations of stress really do culminate into offspring that have stress starting out. So it's really interesting to look at these, but what does that mean? It just means that we need to figure out where the stress came from and if that nervous system is healthy enough and functioning to combat that stress and still put the body into a parasympathetic mode where it can do things like rest and digest and heal and grow. So we see a lot of moms who come to us and they're just kind of at their wits' end. Maybe baby is inconsolable, baby has colic, they can't stop crying. The doctors, pediatricians are just saying they'll grow out of it, it's normal, give them some gripe water, maybe some rice cereal. And it's these things are not addressing the cause. They are kind of little band-aids to kind of just pacify mom and to try to get a little bit farther down the road where maybe baby will grow out of those things, but then they're eventually going to grow into another issue. And we call this a perfect storm where there's stress during pregnancy, stress during the birth, there's stress postpartum because baby doesn't really have a nervous system that's regulating on its own yet, they need moms. And so there's all of this stress and it just kind of culminates and snowballs and it's really causing this tornado effect where then we start seeing kids who aren't latching, they have colic, then that turns into ear infections, then they might have a speech delay or they have milestone delays, whether it's walking or crawling or whatever it is. And then we start seeing the anxiety build and we start seeing all of these other symptoms. And now our kids are 7, 8 and we're like, holy heck, how did we get here? What do we do now? Or they're teenagers and they're really depressed and having a lot of other issues and we don't have the tools to look back to preconception and say, where is this really coming from? So that's kind of what our office is really great at, is really looking at the root cause, looking at that nervous system and really figuring out, okay, is their body in a place where they can thrive? Can they heal? Can they digest food? Can they do these basic things to thrive? Or are they stuck on fight or flight? Their foot is on that pedal. They are doing what they're doing and nothing else in the outside world matters, no matter how many times you're yelling at your kids to listen to you and to follow instructions and all these things. They have blinders on basically. So what does that mean? in our office, we do a lot of scanning. So we are looking to see if that nervous system is really where it should be. And this nervous system, like I said, has a lot of jobs. So it's going to basically reduce your heart rate. It's going to activate digestion, lower inflammation, which is a huge thing we see on scans, is a lot of inflammation in kids. It's going to stabilize your blood sugar. But the disruptions in communication between the nervous system and your brain and your body and all of the messages that it has to send are what kind of cause this havoc. So when we see the dysfunction, we often will see that it is excessive cortisol exposure during pregnancy or in the postpartum period. Birth interventions like C-sections and vacuum and forceps can also kind of traumatize that parasympathetic system and cause it to start working at a much lower level. We see a lot of times that the frequent childhood illnesses that get prescribed antibiotics for are going to cause more issues with the digestive system and cause some resistance there, which can lead to more stress and tension and a longer period of not being healthy, and then disruption in our good bacteria and all of those things, which are going to cause issues with the nervous system as well. So all of these things can start that perfect storm, and then we see that the scale of fight or flight to thriving gets really thrown off. And so we call this the dysautonomia basically, but it will lead to sleep issues, it will lead to digestive issues, it will lead to poor drainage, it will lead to anxiety. And that's where we see these kids later on in life, and we're really focusing back on what is that root cause. It's the nervous system. So we use some scanning technology called insight scans, and those are the best way to see what is going on in that body. We look at inflammation, we look at tension, we look at their heart rate variability, and that's really going to show us, is that vagus nerve working? Is the parasympathetic nervous system functioning appropriately, or is that scale just like this and it can't get itself going because the sympathetic system is so high. So these scans really show exactly what's going on within the child, gives us a really good idea of where to start our care, where to game plan from, what type of care are we going to do, what type of adjustments. And so it's really personalized to each and every child. And we can look at those scans and really see progress as we start our care. And so we're always looking to see that nervous system and if it's getting balanced out. And so when people talk about the root cause, this is it. And sometimes it is hard to look back and think, well, I didn't know any better, or it's not my fault these birth interventions happened. And that is all true. It just now, once we know what the stress is from, and if the nervous system is affected from that, we can start helping to heal that as well. So if you have a child who's dealing with any of the things I mentioned, these scans would be a really great way to see where their nervous system is at and if it is struggling, and if that parasympathetic system, which does the resting and digesting and healing and growing, is going to be affected by all of the stress in their life. So this would be a really great tool for anyone who's looking for some answers for their kiddo.